Hi, girlfriends. I'm Angela.
And I'm Kimberly.
And we are so excited to be back with you for our third conversation across the table with you. This week's topic is sure to resonate with just about every woman on this planet, right?
For sure.
So we are excited to get to that, but we are just so overwhelmed with all of the support that we have received from you, and we are just thrilled that you are finding our conversations valuable to your life. That's our intent. So we're just so excited about that. Kimberly and I met this week, and we planned out the next 3 months worth of material, and we're just so excited to talk to you about all the things. Oh, it's going to be good. But we also decided that rather than Fridays, we decided that we were going to make our vlogs live on Mondays. We kind of figured that Mondays, let's just be real, Mondays are a little bit cruel and they can be really mean to us. And so we just thought maybe a little bit of an encouragement on Mondays was a good thing. So stay tuned for that, and just on Monday mornings, or Monday, maybe midday, that you will find that available for you to watch and brighten up your day.
Yeah, and it kind of gives people the opportunity to listen to it throughout the week, because when it's posted on a Friday, sometimes we forget about it because weekends happen. So at least when it's posted on a Monday, it's easier to either start your week off that way or to listen to it at some point during the week.
Right. So we're excited about that, and hope that you will keep watching. Also, before we go any further, make sure that you subscribe to our channel. That way you'll get notified when it does post, and you won't have to just wonder at what time we're going to do that. So, and also follow us on our Instagram page at Across the Table with Us. Mm-hmm. All right, to today's topic. It's a big one. We are going to talk about being present over perfect.
Oh my gosh. I just got butterflies in my stomach. Anybody else?
Right? Well, perfection is slammed in our faces everywhere. What we see, what we hear, what we're taught, what does that even look like? I mean, it's just surrounding us. And so before we even get into how to be present over perfect, I think we kind of need to define even what that means. What does perfection look like today?
Yeah, I think for me, it instantly goes to social media, because that's so much of what is shoved in our face every day, is having that perfect page that has the brightness or has the consistency, and that every moment is perfect. And by perfect, I mean that you're not seeing my kids screaming or me losing my ever-loving mind on them.
That never happens.
No, never. And you're not seeing my husband and I arguing, or me, with fat rolls everywhere with my clothes. It's one of those things where that is real. My body is not perfect in the world sense. And then we see Photoshop stuff and filters. I mean, it's just shoved in our face all the time.
Right. I was thinking about this. I was like, what is the definition of perfection? And I was thinking about in a lot of different areas of our lives. And I decided that there really isn't a definitive answer, because it all lies in the person that you're talking to. So whatever it is that I have seen, or that maybe that I like, that I'm attracted to, my child, something that I learned from childhood, or something that I saw being performed for me in front of me, or something that I've read. So my lens of perfection, maybe I like, farmhouse, but that's perfection to me, style, decor or whatever. And you like, something different, modern or something.
Yeah, contemporary.
And so to me, my idea of perfection is going to be different than yours. So it's kind of like the lenses are different. And so therefore it's not really, even if we were made to be able to create this perfection that we have in our minds, which we're not. And that's why we're unique. If we could create this perfection, then we would be all the same, and who wants that? And so I just think that it can change based on the person that you're talking to. And so you're never going to live up to your idea of perfection. And then once you do get somewhat close to it, you see something else, or you hear something else, or technology changes and that thing came out. And so now all of a sudden that perfect idea, image that you had before is not the perfect, that's not the perfection anymore.
Right.
So I think we're constantly creating this, and it's altered by time, technology, perceptions that we have, and so we are not able to, even remotely meet that. So it's a myth. I've decided that perfection is a myth.
It's a myth, but it's also something that I don't think is necessarily a bad thing either. I think it comes from a healthy spot if we truly look at what that means. And we are supposed to strive to be Christ-like, who really, in my eyes, is perfect. And so that's something to strive towards, but also knowing that I can never be that. So I think it's a good point that you raise of there's always something more that you're trying to attain or achieve or get to or be like. And that's not a bad thing unless it's consuming you.
Yes. We talk often about, and we see that you and I both say the phrase made for more. And that's a phrase that a lot of people use, and it's definitely true, because we are made for more. We're not made to just be stagnant of where we're at. We're not, if we did today exactly what we did yesterday, and then tomorrow we did exactly what we did today, like, what's the point? So it's not that you don't want to grow. We definitely want to grow. We were made to do that. We were made to be better tomorrow than we were yesterday. But this idea of perfection creates something in your mind that paralyzes you. And it deteriorates your self-worth and makes you basically not move at all. So you just, instead of gradually growing, like you just stop. So that's why I think that perfection when I meant to say that it was a myth. It's a myth in that humans can't attain it. But it's not a myth in that our Creator can. I like that you said that we are supposed to mimic our Creator, because that's what keeps us moving forward at all. The phrase last week when we were talking about identity, we were just talking about created for such a time as this. And I believe that, and you've reminded me of that, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But I just don't think we should waste the time that we have. And we need to keep investing, but we also don't need to move towards, we're never going to achieve that perfect life. And if we think that we are, then we're going to have thoughts creep into our head that is not healthy.
Yeah, I think that the healthy way of looking at this is, instead of striving for perfection, that we strive to be better.
Yes. Exactly. That's exactly what we're trying to do. But that doesn't mean that we're striving to be better and that your house needs to be a little bit cleaner when
or
somebody
that you have
comes
to
over.
be better than someone else.
Right.
But more like you need to just strive to be better than who you were yesterday.
Well, the comparison trap is what happens a lot, and you think you're doing fine until you go to somewhere else, maybe somebody's house or maybe somebody's car or whatever, and then all of a sudden you don't think that you've achieved. You were fine in the morning,
right?
Oh,
sure. I mean, case in point, my husband and I bought what we found was our dream home a year ago, and then we go over to people's houses that have the same floor plan as us, and we're like, wow, that would be nice to have that in our house, or, oh, here's something else that we should be adding to our house, instead of just being content with what we have.
Right.
And
I think that's normal. It's not, even if you have this mindset of, I don't need to be perfect, we are all going to have those unhealthy moments, where we go into that. But as long as you move back into okay, that was beautiful, I'm happy for them, that was great, that, like, maybe someday we'll do something with ours, but not kind of sink down into that little sort of like, woe is me sort of feeling.
right. Or now I'm embarrassed to have them over into my home.
Right. So
that's
because then you remain paralyzed, and you're like, you don't do anything at all.
Right.
Right.
And it starts to be a detriment to my relationship.
Yes. I have never had a close relationship where I said, you know what? we have a really close relationship because Kimberly is perfect. Like, that's why our friendship is so great, because she's perfect. Like, no. We have a great friendship because when we are together, we are present and we dive into deep topics and we're vulnerable with each other.
We talk about our ugly.
Yes, and we cry and we and so if you came to me and all we talked about was superficial perfect things, we wouldn't have a close friendship. So that's what relationships are based on. And I know that each and every one of you, if you looked at your relationships, not one of your people that you hold close to you is because that other person is perfect.
Right.
So that's how we should think about like our lives. Like nobody likes you because you're perfect.
Right. Exactly.
So So now that we've talked about perfection, I guess, and what that is and isn't, let's talk about what being present looks like.
Yeah, so this is a really great segue because just the other day, one of my really good friends invited me to do a workout class with her. And she is...
What kind?
It's an aerobics class.
Okay.
And she is who I would think is perfect. She's beautiful. She's, someone that I would look at like, oh, you're a Barbie doll, and I do, quite honestly, get a little insecure around her because I'm like, oh, she's so much prettier than me. And I know that that's so silly. And I'm very quick to be like, that's stupid. I'm just going to celebrate who she is. And God created me beautiful too. And I'm going to celebrate that. And so I went to this class with her, and I know that that was vulnerable for her to ask me to be there. Because same where she looks at her beauty too, the same way that I do. We pick each other apart, ourselves, right? I'm not picking her apart, but she picks herself apart. And I do the same for me. But she invited me to this workout class and knew she was going to sweat like crazy. And I was going to see her without makeup, and it was crazy, right? And then I was there just thinking, oh my word, this woman is going to see me so disgusting and smelling nasty. And I'm around all of her friends. And when we got in there, we started working out, and she was so sweet. And she kept coming up to me, how you doing? You doing okay? I've done this for forever, and this is a super hard workout. And I was like, thanks. And I was dying. And then we had to jump around the room, like skip around the room. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I was like, I can't do this. Y'all, I've had 2 kids. I'm just gonna be honest. I pee a little when I jump around. And so I was like,
talk about being vulnerable today.
So yeah, talk about not being perfect. I pee when I jump. Wow. And sneeze and laugh too hard. There, I said it. But I was able to relate to other women because when we got back to our spots, I looked over at these people that I didn't know, and I was like, did anybody else pee a little when that happened? And they were like, oh my gosh, yes. And I was like, okay, like, let's just talk about this because we're women and we've had babies and that happens. But
yeah, for those of you who don't have kids, that's what.
Yeah, these are one of the things that they don't talk about. But I loved that moment because not only did I push perfection aside, but they did too. And we were able to be present with each other and really celebrate that we just skipped around regardless if we left puddles everywhere we jumped.
That visual. Okay. No, that's pretty good. No, yeah, I think that being present is just fully being aware of your surroundings and if you can use all of your senses, kind of like at the same, maybe not eating, and if you're not, in a place where you're eating or whatever, but like, if you can use your mouth though in different ways by talking, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're using all of your senses and they are fully, not just in earshot, you're not like thinking about, tomorrow while you're with somebody else, or you're not, writing something while you're, somebody's talking or whatever, but you're fully in the moment and you can actually like intentionally think later on about a specific moment while you were there. I feel like that's when you're present. Like you're fully there. You're not comparing yourself to anybody else. Mm-hmm. You're not thinking, is she thinking I'm stupid? You're not, and this could be in relationships. This is what I'm talking about right now, but it could also be in like the workforce. We were in a room yesterday where you were talking a little bit about this, where your motive in the workforce can be one of being present, or it can be one of like, I'm just aiming to be the best and be the perfect in, that situation. And so, but being present in the moment, you're most likely your motivation is going to be for the right reasons, and you will get more done in that particular case, but you'll also be more happy with yourself.
Yeah, I think that when you're present, it's less about you and more about other people. Where instead of coming into a room and saying, "Here I am," you walk into a room and say, "There you are."
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
I didn't create that quote, just so you know. Like, I've heard that a few times on the internet. I wish I could say that's all mine. But
yeah. Well, it's just interesting how, we talk about being unique and how God created, the nature, and we go out and we see like these beautiful sunsets, and we see like the beach, and we see, all of these amazing things, and we're like, oh, this is God, you are so good. And then we look at within ourselves and we think, we berate ourselves when we should be saying, just like you said last week, it is good. It's very good.
Mm-hmm. You're the icing on the cake.
Yeah. Sprinkle that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I just think that we need to take a step back and get rid of the perfection. Let it go. Decide that you are happier growing an inch than you are remaining stagnant, because that's what's going to happen. If you're reaching for over here in perfection, it's never going to be that perfect time. You're never going to have all the money that you need. You're never going to have all the time that you need. You're never going to have the perfect this or that. So therefore, you're going to remain right here. Mm-hmm. If you decide just to grow a little bit in your relationships and in your life, even your home, whatever it is that you have this idea of in your head, if you just grow a little bit, you're moving inches. I know for a fact that I am further along than I was a year ago. Mm-hmm. And if I wasn't, I would be more depressed and start feeling like, what is it that I'm doing, and why can't I get out of my rut?
Right. And it's not to say that we're not going to have seasons where we take steps backward.
Yes.
But that's to say that when you do step back, instead of getting upset about that, just ask yourself, what could I do differently? Right? How can I pivot? Maybe you're not even doing the wrong thing, but maybe it's just a slight change, and it's just a matter of just pivoting, whatever that is. Maybe it's, I want to grow and work and whatever, but maybe you're just feeling stuck in where you're at, and you just need to change just a little bit of what you're doing to really get to where you want to be going. But that you're learning from your failures too, because that is how people are successful, is by learning by their mistakes. So we're going to have mistakes, and our mistakes are what make us better.
Right. Through those is how we become better. But I hear often that, it's okay to be in a vulnerable space or a place where you're not moving, but it's not okay to stay there. Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing. We all go through seasons, we go through hardships, we go through just rough days that you just kind of wish didn't exist. And that's okay. That's just part of life, but it's not okay to stay there.
Agreed.
And so that's by not staying there and by growing a little bit each day, that's where you're going to turn it around into being present over being perfect. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, we're saying all these great things about this is how you be present over perfect. I wanted to maybe both of us talk about, like, maybe in the past couple of weeks, something that you can think of where you have already talked about one where you were healthy, right?
Right.
So maybe we could talk about a time that we've been unhealthy, thinking present or being perfection over present, and then maybe a time when we had a healthy view, like what we're talking about right now. For me, for my healthy part of it, we had just had this conversation on Monday when you and I were discussing what we were going to do for the next couple months, like I said. And so I knew we were going to talk about this. And so I think it was fresh in my mind. And I was starting a new thing this week. I decided with my husband that we only have a couple more years with our kids. And at home, we have a couple college kids and a couple high school kids. And we decided that we just really wanted to make the most of this time. And we wanted to host a Taco Tuesday at our house for teenagers and young 20s. And when I thought of this in the summertime over my vacation, honestly, in my head, it was like out here, it was like perfection, like this idea of what it was going to look like, and like all of this, like, I don't know, just what it could be, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then after we had that conversation on Tuesday, I was like, you know what? Whatever it is, that's what it's supposed to be, and it is. And I literally like dropped all ideas of the perfection.
Because what did we say when we met? You were telling me, you said, oh, I have all these grandiose ideas. And I was like, right, like you're probably thinking that these kids are going to come to you and they're like, oh, I need your wisdom. And, oh, I just love, and I'm so inspired by you in one meeting. Come on. And they're kids.
Right. I just really wanted to get to know who my kids' friends were.
Right.
And so we just were like, okay, our kids, we told my kids Monday night, let us know how many friends you're bringing. I don't care how many. And so they told us, and they told us 15 total, and then it ended up being 17. And it was like the most perfect night, because in my not the perfect as in perfection, but the perfect as in being present, because I can like look back over the night and I was just like, oh my gosh, everybody was just there and everybody was loving it. My kids were interacting, and that's the kind of perfection that it was. The perfection that it wasn't perfect. Perfectly imperfect?
Yes.
Yes, that's what it was. And so that was my healthy moment this week, and I'm sure that it had a lot to do with the fact that I knew I was talking about this, so I was in that moment.
Yeah.
But I have unhealthy moments too.
And you were able to call it out. I think that helps a lot too, that when you're going through these things and you start finding yourself envisioning this perfect thing and trying to control it so that it is that way,
Right.
to just call it out.
Yeah.
Because then no longer does it have control over you.
Right. We get in those unhealthy times though. I just to be vulnerable, Kimberly posted on her page this last week that our first podcast, here we are wanting to make sure that you women know your worth, because you are oh so worthy, and we just want to encourage you, and we just need more of that. And so, we're doing this our first podcast or whatever vlog. We're new at this. We don't know what it's called.
Yeah, call it what you want.
So we're doing this, and we get done with it, and we kind of like review like a couple minutes of it, play it back, and Kimberly was hating it. Like she didn't like her hair.
I didn't feel confident at all. I was nitpicking everything. I didn't like my hair. I didn't like the way my shirt looked on me.
Right. Ugh. And so then I was like, you know what? If we refilm it, we're going to lose like the authenticity, which is exactly what we don't want to do. We don't want a script. This is not about a script, and that's why we are present and not perfect. We're not reading from a teleprompter. And so that's just how it's going to be. And so I'm like, let's just, it's our first one. We got to post it, or we'll never do it. We will become stagnant, and we will refilm everything if we decide that's what our path is. So we let it go, and you
own it.
Yeah.
Just own it.
And then,
okay, I'm not perfect, and you're going to see that, and I own it.
Right.
Done.
But then here's the funny thing though. I am the one that's like telling her this in the first week. Okay, so because for some reason for me the first week I was super nervous, and then afterwards I was like, yes, we did the first one. Like I was just so excited about it. And then the second week came, and we talked about identity, and it was like the roles reversed. We got done, and I didn't even need to watch it. Before I said this, so we turned it off, and I went, I didn't like myself in that one at all. And I was just like kind of down on myself. And I was so mad at myself, because here I am talking and being vulnerable and talking about identity. And then I have found myself in the last 3 years and allowing myself to be free, which I still believe this, but I still have these unhealthy moments where I have to bring myself back in and be like, remember what you just said, practice what you preach. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it took a couple of hours, and then I got out of it, and I was like, okay, yep, remember what you told Kimberly last week? Yep, you're just gonna post it. And so
right.
I did, and I felt better about it, and I didn't think about it after that. So it's not that you're always gonna be in that healthy moment of being present and feeling like everything was great. I was present and it was great, but you just have to bring yourself back into being healthy.
Well, I want to bring it back then to last week's conversation, because I think that this is huge, where we will say, I beat myself up and I do this to myself and I talk horribly about me. No, you don't, ladies. That is an enemy that's talking to you. That is not you. You're not crazy. But what we need to do is listen to what our Creator says about us. You are beautiful. You were made for such a time as this. I have something that I want to say through you. This is not about you. This is about me. And run with it.
Right. Let go of your insecurities and let your voices be heard, and tell women how beautiful they are, because you are. So, yeah.
I love that. So, how can we be present and not let perfection play a role?
I think we need to just be intentional and just stop the lies. Don't let them come in. Clear your head before, as soon as some negative thought starts to come in, replace it with something positive.
Yes, that's hard to do.
Yes.
I think that's where journaling is really important, because as you create habits of writing things that you're grateful for each day, even if it's just 3 things that you write about. Andrea Robinson does a really great job of, she's got a journal. I can link that to this. But just to get in a habit of creating those, I'm grateful for this. Then when those thoughts start to creep in, it's already a habit, and you already know why you're grateful.
Right. Replace your complaining with thankfulness, and yeah, you'll have a much better attitude. Your day will go better, and
intentionality, right?
Yeah.
So I like that. I had a moment today where I was telling Angela, my son loves to create things for us, and he specifically likes to create things for me because I'm his mama and he's a boy. Boys love their moms. And he likes to create stories or pictures or Lego creations. And today I found this intricate Lego masterpiece that was in my closet, and it was hidden behind clothes. This actually is what it was hidden behind. And I went to move this out of the way, and the Legos crashed to the floor, and was like, no! It was slow-mo falling and like broke in 3 pieces. It's like, oh my gosh. And I was heartbroken. And then I grabbed it and I thought, we can fix this. I can explain this. And as I'm walking to his room, the pieces started to fall out of my hands and then shattered on the tile floor. And I was like, no! It was so bad. And I thought, how am I going to explain this to him? And it's before school. And we are always running late in the mornings. Can I get an amen from anybody that has kids in school? That it's super important to not rush through stuff in the morning. You already are in a rush. So I didn't want to go to him and say, hey, I'm really sorry this happened, and for him to be heartbroken because he worked so hard on this for me. But I thought, I'm going to put this aside for later, in a moment where I truly can be present. So you can create those moments of being present. It doesn't have to happen right now.
Right.
So maybe your mornings are crazy and you just need to get stuff done and out the door. I don't want you to feel guilty if you can't slow down in the morning, but create a space where you can be present.
Right.
Whatever that looks like. Even if it's getting away with your husband for a weekend to dream.
Right.
And just be present with each other. Or it's getting together with my son after school today and saying, Mommy wrote this, it was an accident, let's put it together, or create something together on our own.
I'd like to kind of close this with my brother. He doesn't even know I'm going to say this, but on vacation, he doesn't even probably remember that I remember this, but he said something when he was cooking, and he said he was frustrated with something on the stove. I can't even remember what it was, but he said, I'm just going to replace my expectations with appreciation right now. And that resonated with me. And I've said that to my husband a few times since then. And I don't know, that was a quote that I will remember. And it is in that moment, he could have gotten like really mad about whatever it was that he was frustrated with in the moment. And if he would have, I probably would have remembered that, right? But instead I remember what he said.
I love that. Replace your expectations with appreciations.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. So,
Words of wisdom from your brother.
right? All right, friends, we are so excited to continue to talk with you. Next week, we are going to talk about something super fun. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but we are going to talk about Enneagrams.
I have so much to learn around the Enneagram, but I do geek out over stuff like that.
Yes.
You know, we all do like those personality tests, and
Right.
I used to geek out over that in the YM magazine. Somebody showing my age, YM 17. Do you remember those where they always had personality tests? So yeah, that'll be a lot
It's
of
all
fun.
very new to me, but I have to tell you, I am kind of over the top researching about it because I find it so fascinating. So we're excited to talk to you about that next week. We're excited for you to, if you know what number you are between now and next week, let us know. I would really like to know because it helps me, I think already. Like I know what you are and you know what I am, and so it's already kind of helping us like just know what ticks what their favorite things are, or what makes them happy or what doesn't make them happy.
Yeah,
and,
or how we operate in healthy ways and how we
Yeah.
operate in unhealthy ways.
Yeah.
But before then, we want to challenge you to be present this week.
Yes.
So let us know a moment where you felt very present, maybe how that felt, or how you saw the energy shift in the room because you were present. We want to cheer you on and celebrate you because you're amazing. And we want to let you know that we see you.
I see you.
Thanks for joining us across the table. You guys have a wonderful week.